At our anniversary, my girlfriend invited her ex-boyfriend as best friend. I stayed silent, packed her belongings, and sent them to him with a note, secondhand. A year later, I realized I'd finally chosen myself. I swear I didn't wake up that morning expecting drama. Our one-year anniversary should have been a soft, warm, ordinary kind of special. A nice dinner, inside jokes, maybe a dumb gift I spent too much time choosing. Nothing crazy, nothing cinematic. That's what I thought. My girlfriend, Leah, had planned the evening herself. She insisted on it. Actually, said she wanted to take the lead this year. I didn't question it. I liked seeing her excited. We were supposed to meet at her favorite cozy fusion restaurant, the one with dim lighting, handwritten menus, and waiters who remembered your dog's name. A perfect couple's spot. But when I arrived, there were 3 chairs, not 2. And sitting in the third one, way too comfortable, was her ex-boyfriend, Mason. I almost walked right back out. But he saw me first and stood up, smiling like we were old friends who used to play basketball together. "Hey man," he said, giving me a small wave. "Long time." I didn't respond. I just looked at Leah. She bounced up like nothing was wrong. "Babe, you're here," she said, kissing me on the side of the cheek. "Don't freak out. Mason's joining us. He's my best friend now." Best friend? When? How? My stomach sank, but I didn't want to blow up. Not yet. I sat down, slowly, like entering a room with a suspicious smell. Leah kept talking nonstop, filling the air with fluff, work stories, her coworker's dog, a podcast she loved. I barely heard her. Mason didn't say much, just watched her with a look I'd seen too many times on guys trying to get a second chance. And then, right when I thought the night couldn't get more uncomfortable, Mason leaned back in his chair, eyed her dress, and said with a smirk, "You're still keeping the dress I gave you? You look really beautiful in it." My entire body went still. Leah's face froze for half a second, that microscopic flicker of guilt. Then she forced a laugh. "Oh my God, Mason, shut up," she said, swatting his arm. But she didn't deny it. She didn't explain. She didn't even look at me. She just kept smiling at him. I felt something sharp twist in my chest. Not jealousy, not even anger. Just a quiet, cold clarity. The kind that hits when someone shows you exactly who they've become. I didn't argue. Didn't make a scene. Didn't even finish my drink. I just stood up and said calmly, "I'm leaving." Leah reached for my hand, her voice softening into that defensive sweetness she used when she knew she messed up. "Babe, don't be weird. It's not a big deal." But it was. And she knew it. I walked out of the restaurant without looking back. She didn't follow. That silence told me everything. When I got home, I didn't rage clean or punch a pillow or call a friend for validation. I just sat there for a minute and thought about the dress, about the ex, about the best friend line, about the way she barely tried to comfort me. Then I got up, went to her side of the closet, and started packing her things. Every sweater, every pair of shoes, every stray hair product. Folded neatly, boxed carefully. Not an act of anger, an act of acceptance. And then I remembered Mason's smug face. The way he said beautiful, like he still had some kind of claim on her. That's when I wrote the note on a clean sheet of printer paper. Secondhand. I taped it on the largest box. Then I put everything in my trunk, drove to Mason's address. Yes, I knew it. Leah had shown me once during a story about her crazy ex. Rang the doorbell and left the boxes on his porch. Didn't wait to see his reaction. Didn't text Leah. Didn't explain. I just went home, showered, and slept better than I had in months. Until morning, when I woke up to the sound of my phone vibrating like a trapped bee. 7 missed calls from Leah. 4 calls from Mason. 18 messages. 3 voicemails. And that was only the beginning. The real storm hit around noon. And I had no idea just how messy things were about to get. The next morning started with my phone buzzing nonstop. But I ignored it. I made coffee, fed my cat, opened the windows, acted like the world wasn't trying to claw its way into my apartment. When I finally checked my phone, it was a wall of chaos. Leah's texts were a roller coaster of emotions. 10:12 a.m. Where are my things? 10:14 a.m. Why would you touch my stuff? That's my property. 10:17 a.m. Is this because of last night? Seriously. 10:25 a.m. Please tell me you didn't do anything crazy. 10:41 a.m. Tell me you didn't send anything to Mason. 11:06 a.m. Answer me right now. Her voicemails were worse. Whisper crying, anger, bargaining, all mashed together. I didn't respond. Not out of cruelty, but because I genuinely had nothing left to say. Around noon, there was a knock on my door. Not polite, not hesitant. The type of knock that screams someone showed up with a mission and bad emotional impulse control. I opened it just a crack. It was Mason, holding the largest box, my note still taped to it, crumpled slightly like he'd gripped it too hard. He didn't yell, didn't try to push his way in. He just stood there with this conflicted expression. Embarrassed? Annoyed? Maybe even a tiny bit impressed? Hard to tell. He let out a slow breath. She's not handling this well, he said finally. I shrugged. Sounds like a her problem. He nodded, like he agreed, but wasn't allowed to say it out loud. Look, he said, shifting the box in his arms. I didn't know she was wearing something I gave her. And I definitely didn't know she'd drag me into your anniversary without telling you. Something in his voice sounded genuine. Frustrated, but not hostile. He continued, I'm not trying to get her back. She asked me to come because she didn't want to be boring on her anniversary. I thought it was weird, but I didn't think it was this bad. I didn't respond at first. I was too busy processing that Leah had apparently orchestrated this disaster thinking it was cute or quirky. Then Mason added, quieter. I think she wanted you to be jealous. That actually made me laugh. Not bitterly, genuinely. Because it made everything click. The dress. The forced flirting. The three-person anniversary. She had tried to spark some dramatic rom-com moment. Instead, she'd sparked her own eviction. Mason looked down at the box and sighed. I'll leave this here, he said. But you should probably talk to her. She's losing her mind. That last line made me pause. Not because she was losing her mind, but because he said it with a tone that suggested he'd been through this exact cycle with her before. He set the box down on the hallway floor and left. A few minutes later, Leah started calling again. And again. And again. Eventually, I picked up. She launched straight into accusations. Why did you humiliate me? Why did you involve my ex like some kind of sick joke? Why would you do that to me? I kept my voice calm. You involved him. You brought him to our anniversary. You were his gift. You let him flirt with you. You don't understand, she snapped. He's just a friend now. I wanted a fun night. You're always so serious. I thought you'd lighten up. I stayed silent because there was nothing to argue. It was all noise. Defensiveness, excuses, twisted logic, the greatest hits. Then came the line that told me we truly lived in different universes. I didn't cheat, so why are you acting like I did something awful? I exhaled through my nose. You made a fool out of me, I said. You disrespected me to my face. On our anniversary. That's not disrespect. That's just you overreacting. There it was. The final nail. She genuinely believed she had done nothing wrong. The rest of the call was a blur of shouting and self-victimizing. She begged, then blamed, then cried, then threatened to come over and fix this right now. Don't, I said. We're done. She went silent. Then her voice softened into something cold. You'll regret this. And she hung up. I expected peace after that. The quiet relief of closure. Instead, the situation was about to get much messier than I ever imagined. Update 1 that I thought telling her, we're done, would be the peak of this disaster. Oh, how naive. That same evening, around 7 p.m., my phone buzzed again, but this time it wasn't her. It was her sister, Emma. She and I weren't close, but we'd met enough times that her name popping up wasn't completely shocking. I answered, expecting maybe a neutral "Are you okay?" or "What happened?" Nope. She opened with, "Did you really send her stuff to Mason?" I sat down, instantly exhausted. Yeah, I said. He seemed like a more appropriate storage unit than I am. Silence. Then a small laugh slipped out of her. The quiet, guilty kind someone lets out when they know they shouldn't find something funny. Okay, objectively, that's messed up, she said. But also, that's exactly what she deserved. I blinked. That surprised me. Emma sighed deeply, like she'd been waiting for this conversation for months. Look, she said, I love my sister, but she's been spiraling. She keeps pulling this "I want drama" thing with the guy she dates. You're, like, the third one she tried to do the jealousy bit with. Usually the guy just yells and then forgives her. And she expected I'd do the same, I said. Pretty much. We talked for maybe 10 minutes. Emma kept saying her sister was freaking out, screaming at everyone, and blaming everyone except herself. Apparently she'd called Emma, crying that I abandoned her without warning. Without warning? I repeated. She brought her ex to our anniversary dinner. Emma's voice went flat. Yeah, she left that out. Then came the twist. Emma lowered her voice and said, "She's been telling Mom and Dad that you lost your temper and threw her clothes out on the street. She's trying to make you look like some kind of abuser." My stomach dropped. Of course she twisted it. Of course she created her own version where she was the helpless heroine. I rubbed my forehead. So now I'm the villain. Emma hesitated. Well, not to everyone. Just to the people who already baby her. Great. That was about half her family. As we were talking, another call came in, an unknown number. I declined it. It called again, then again. Finally, I told Emma, "I'll call you back," and picked up. A man's voice spoke on the other end. Firm, serious, rehearsed. "Is this Daniel Parker?" "Yes. This is Officer Reynolds with the local police department. We received a report from a Ms. Leah Carter. She claims you disposed of her belongings without consent." Jesus Christ. I felt this cold wave wash over my entire body. I explained the situation calmly. Everything was boxed, nothing was damaged, and all items were given directly to a person she trusted, her ex, who confirmed it. The officer asked a few more questions, sounding almost bored. Then he said, "Okay, based on what you're telling me, this sounds like a civil matter, not a criminal one. I just needed to confirm your side. You won't be contacted further unless additional information arises." Before hanging up, he added quietly, with the tone of someone who'd seen this kind of thing too often. "For what it's worth, she didn't mention the part about you giving the items to a third party. She said you threw them out." "Of course she did," I muttered. "You did the right thing by documenting everything. Have a good night." When the call ended, I sat there for a long minute, staring at my own reflection in the dark window. She hadn't been sad about losing me. She hadn't even been mad about the boxes. She was furious because she'd lost control of the narrative. She couldn't spin it her way. She couldn't paint herself as the victim unless she escalated. And escalating was exactly what she was doing. I called Emma back and filled her in. She groaned loudly. "Dan, you need to block her. Seriously. She's going nuclear and dragging everyone with her." I knew she was right, but I also knew this wasn't over yet. Not with the way my phone started buzzing again. This time, from 3 more of her relatives. And one of the messages made my blood run cold. "Why would you humiliate Leah like that? She told us everything." Everything. Meaning anything. Meaning whatever story she needed to protect her ego. The anniversary dinner was just the opening act. The real drama was only beginning. Final update that it's been nearly a year since that anniversary dinner. The night I realized who she really was, and, more importantly, who I wasn't willing to be anymore. The aftermath was quieter than I expected. She called, texted, emailed, even tried showing up at my apartment once, claiming she just wanted to talk. I didn't answer. I let her messages pile up, unread. Her ex, the one she thought she could flaunt in front of me, eventually returned the box of her belongings I'd shipped. Inside, I'd left the note, secondhand. I didn't sign it, didn't care if she ever saw it. That single act was my punctuation mark on the relationship. Friends noticed the change immediately. I wasn't bitter, wasn't obsessed, wasn't trying to prove anything. I was calm, detached, focused on myself. I moved to a new apartment a few months later, smaller, quieter, with sunlight in every room. I started cooking more, reading more, running in the mornings. The little rituals of life, ones she never appreciated, became my anchor. I also started dating again. Slowly, thoughtfully. No theatrics, no games, just honesty and laughter. The first woman I connected with didn't know the full story, and I didn't need her to. I only needed to know I'd finally chosen someone who valued me without needing to manipulate or test me. Occasionally, I'd see a social media post from my ex. New relationship, new city, same performative charm. It would stir a moment of curiosity, then nothing. I realized the people who leave and try to come back only have power over you if you give it to them. I didn't. By the time a year had passed, the phone calls, the messages, and the lingering doubts had stopped entirely. She became a memory, not a presence. I didn't feel triumph. I didn't feel glee. I felt clarity. The lesson was simple but profound. Boundaries are not cruel. They are essential. Protecting your life, your space, your dignity is not selfish. It's necessary. And in protecting myself, I discovered life could be calmer, kinder, and richer than I ever imagined while being with someone who didn't respect me.